Hey everyone, welcome back to Bucky's Customs. In this video, I'm going to introduce my new CNC machine to you. I know I've been posting a few things. You know what I have. You know I have a new Altmill sitting behind me, and I'm going to go through my take on the Altmill. Let me get this over right away so that for those of you that just want to make a decision right now whether to buy or not to buy the Altmill, I'm going to get this over with right now. I absolutely freaking love this thing. It is the most amazing machine that is just blowing my mind. How fast it is, how accurate it is, and how commercial grade it is. So go ahead. Go to CNC Lab's website. You can click the link in the description below, and it'll take you right to the Altmill page, and you'll be able to go ahead and place your order. And if you do, I get a little bit, and I appreciate that very much. Let's move on to all those that are still on the fence. I'm going to take you through some of the things about the Altmill that I like, some of the things that I would like to see different. Well, let's just take you through it. Assembly on this video is non-existent. There is no assembly whatsoever. I did film assembly, but I'm going to stop right here and just say I am not good at assembly videos. The best way to assemble these is to go to the resources page at cnc.com and follow them step by step. That's what I did. Now, for those of you that are new to CNC, that is absolutely the best way. When I was new, I watched a lot of videos, and I watched a lot of videos on other people who have CNC machines. And the major reason I watched all those videos is to see which one I wanted to buy, not which one I had to assemble. I had what I had back then. It was like 4 years ago now. I guess I'm a little more experienced in the making of a CNC machine. I watched everything that CNC Labs put out as far as their lives, and I watched them over and over again, trying to pick out different things. And I would recommend that if you have ordered your Altmill, and I'm sorry I'm getting off track here, but if you have ordered your Altmill and you're waiting for it, and it's not going to be here until December, by gosh, go to that resources page and read and read and read and read everything again. You know, go through and find out about all the frequently asked questions and go through all that stuff so that it's in your head when you get your machine. Oh yeah, that's what they said. So even though you're following the resources, and I'm sure by the time December comes around, I know one person that's going to put a full-blown assembly video out, and that'll be Garrett Fromme. He does amazing review videos, and he did some great ones for the Longmill and the MK2 as well. So I did one on the MK1, but like I say, I'm not good at it, and you know what? It's best to leave that to the professionals. I like to build things, and I like to talk about how I built those things, and you're going to be seeing a lot of that with the Altmill, just like you did with the Longmills. So check out Garrett's review video. He has his Altmill. I'm sure that he has put something really cool together, and it's going to be very long. So if you're looking for step-by-step, it'll probably be his video. I know CNC Labs is probably going to do one as well. So there'll be plenty of documentation. There already is in order to get this assembled. I had a few issues in the beginning with setup, with the EEPROM settings, that kind of thing. One of the biggest issues I had was I had a little metal block that, and I'm sorry, it's raining like crazy here. I had a little metal block about the Altmill not being in gSender, and I'm not sure why it wasn't. The recent update of gSender, the 1.48 or whatever it was, had some issues. They've since gotten that squared away, and it works great now. But yeah, I had a mental block about that, and it still worked, but I went in ahead and I changed some settings or whatever, and I realized that I just needed to do the $RST or whatever it is and reset and start over, and it worked fine. Many props to Jason, Daniel, all the guys at CNC Labs for, you know, just taking calls and taking emails and answering. And, you know, I would imagine that the first 50 owners kicked their butts on tech support. So I appreciate what they did for me, and thank you so much. I mean, this company has always been second to none as far as support and tech support. Been really good. And we've had our social channels are excellent as well. People helping people. It's just sometimes if you can't get a hold of CNC Labs right then and there, you can sometimes hop on a social and go ahead and type in your problem, and people will just start responding with different ideas. And you know, they're credible people. They're people that own the CNCs, own the long mills, and you know, they can answer your questions. But because the Altmill is so new, I'm sure that there's going to be a limited amount in the beginning here, but that will change, trust me. So I'm going to take a little pause and let this, we're getting a massive thunderstorm. I'm going to shut things down. Okay, so let's take you through a little bit of the Altmill. So first of all, I want to talk about the assembly. The assembly was by far the easiest I've ever done. A lot of these parts were already assembled for us. The long mill, of course, both the MK1 and the MK2, we had to do all the assembly, including the screw drives, everything, wheels, the whole 9 yards. But with the Altmill, the Y-axis rails and the X-axis rails were already pre-assembled. That saved hours, at least 2 hours, honestly. They were already assembled, and specifically correct, I might add. I mean, torque, everything. They were assembled with precision. So when we got them, all we had to do was screw them together with a table. And I really can't tell you how easy that was. I had this thing standing in an hour and a half. You know, it took a little bit longer to get it up and running, but only because I had to do a wasteboard, which I didn't have MDF, so I had to order some MDF. So when that came in, that held me up about a week. But anyways, I got all that done. The first sheet is what they recommend, is just a base sheet, like top of your table. And it's full. It goes back to just past the second cross member. You can see it's open in the back. I kind of like that because your machine can't go back that far and machine, so there's no need to have anything there. But it does need to be bigger. If you want to cut 48 by 48, the machine needs to be wider and deeper, obviously. So that's why that's like that. I had a couple of people ask me about why the wasteboard is short. That's why, because there's no need for it back there. But I assure you, you can cut a 48 by 48 if you need to. Second thing is I put another sheet on here. I did a profile path, cut it to size. It's like 44.5 by 47.5, something similar to that or close to that. And I screwed it down every 9 inches in a nice grid pattern. I'm going to put inserts in, threaded inserts, so that I can just screw down anywhere I want around the table. Depends on what project I'm going to use. Now, a little while ago, I did a video on some boxes. Let me show you the box. These are the boxes that I made. They're 3/4 inch plywood. I used to place a program called Maker Case, and the tolerances were spot on with this. I mean, this thing is absolutely perfect, and it's plywood, right? I used the 1/4 inch meat eater extra long bit. I call it a meat eater because that thing is dangerous. But yeah, and I ran it fairly slow, but I wanted to check the accuracy, and this thing was perfect. Hats off to the guys at CNC, because this thing assembled and made a first project with no corrections to tramming. It was perfect, and they built that into the aluminum framing for the table so that it would be perfect or close to perfect. It really, really was very accurate in that particular design. We'll see how it does on a relief, but I'm pretty sure we'll have good results with it. The third thing that really kind of made me concerned about the table was the rigidity of the feet. When I ran the mill without all this plywood down here, and you could see I've got, these are a couple of drawers. I won't go into that. We'll do that in another video. But around the base of the feet, I put 8-inch high, 3/4 inch plywood, and I screwed it to the feet all the way around and screwed them together with gussets and joists so that I had a floor under there. That way I could use it for storage. I opted to put a drawer unit in, which is way better. It's 3 feet deep, and it's just going to store a lot of stuff for the CNCs, both of them. Yeah, I was a little concerned about that. Once I did that, it stiffened it up quite a bit because my computer was vibrating so bad in some of the turns that it was, starting and going. It was vibrating so bad, I was a little concerned that the mount would loosen up. But with all this weight now, with this drawer unit and the stiffening up the legs, I have no fear that this will be perfect for what this needs. Now, whether or not CNC Labs does something in the future about offering metal stiffeners to tie in the legs or not, I don't know. I'm guessing they probably will because it was an issue with me. I'm sure it's going to be an issue with others too. But did it affect the carve? Absolutely not. I just didn't want it vibrating all over the floor or moving or any of that. And my computer was a big thing. I didn't want to shake that loose. The other thing I did that was different than the resources is once I got the drawer units in, I took the control SLB EXT control box off and put it on the side. And I'll show you that in the drawer video. And I'll show you how I modified the wires and kind of made everything so that it wasn't hanging out and loose all over the place. A couple of the other things I did was initially I had the Altmill sideways so that I could get into one side. One side was there, but to the back. I wanted to get the front and back so that I could run projects through, anything bigger than a 4x4. But I was a little concerned about the motors. Now I'm going to zoom into the X-axis motor, and I want you to see where them wires are right there. You can see how they stick out. Now, the same thing on the ends of the Y-axes. Both of those have the same thing, and I found that I was bumping them, I was pulling them out. I don't know if CNC Labs will make any sort of protection for that or not, but if they don't, I will. Whether it's a 3D printed part or something, I need to cover that so that, inadvertently I don't just bang into it. Now, that would not be pretty if I'm 4 hours into a relief carve and I've got 1 hour to go, and all of a sudden I needed to get around my long mill and I bump into the X-axis wires and I unplug the X, and guess what happens? You're done. X doesn't move, but Y and Z do. So you're done from there. So I'm assuming, not unless somebody has a miracle fix for that, but the only thing I can think of is we have to pay attention to those things and make sure they're covered. Now, I did buy an external outlet, which I'll zoom in and show you, that's magnetic. And basically, this thing needs to focus. There we go. It is magnetic. It just hangs there. And that plugs in everything. My computer, the power box, the UFD, everything. It's all right there. And I am running it out of that outlet that you see next to Locked Up Outdoors logo. That is a 20 amp outlet. And that is it. Now I know they say you only need a 15 amp, but I'm running 20. I have a 20 amp on each of the Longmills. The other thing was the dust boot. I looked at that I just opened the box and I was like, oh man, damn, this thing is nice. And it has a 4-inch outlet, which, you know, is gonna suck a lot of dust off of that table. And when I ran the boxes, I ran it slow. I ran it a little bit above the table. And I've learned that if you don't put it flat against the table, it will work better. Now, there's been a lot of people designing dust boots, and one in particular is my brother-in-law down at the Hinkle shop. He's designing a bristleless, just a boot that doesn't have any of the bristles on it, and he claims it sucks everything right off the table that he needs. And I believe he found was that if you leave it up and you don't close that space, it gives it, you know, has to create a vacuum. And if you shut the air off coming in, it's just going to suck the bristles in. Some of them do that anyways, but I know the Suck It dust boot that I have on the Longmill, I use primarily for removing the smoke from the 7-watt laser. But when I do use the bristles on that, the dust collection does suck the bristles up, and it kind of slows it down and it clogs. I was really happy to see the 4-inch, getting back to that. I'm telling you right now, that thing worked awesome. I watched his video on how to install it. It is easy on, easy off. I posted a little short. You can see behind me, I have it built up. No, this way. There you go. I have it built up on the Altmill's Z axis, way above that motor, so that it doesn't hit the wires. I didn't want that hose hitting the wires. Now what you see behind me for the hose is temporary. I just need to get something up so that I can get up and running. The other thing I wanted to show you here was just what's going on with this dust boot. So I'm going to zoom into it a little bit, and let's just bring this up front. Now, what I used was the Go to X, Y, 0, that button in gSender. And all I did was just hit that, and it brought it up here. This was where I set my X and Y at. Now, this dust boot, honest to goodness, is so easy. The only critique that I have over this is that there's a little tab back here that just isn't big enough to really get much leverage on for an old hand. But it will come off. I might make a little pry bar that I can use for that, but it does. It goes on fairly easy. And you don't even need to push it up in the back. You can just push down and it clicks in. That easy. It's that simple. Now, what I'm really excited about is this bracket that I made to hold this dust hose in a stationary position so that it doesn't hit the wires on my Z-axis. And that is important because if my Z doesn't work because a wire pulled out or whatever, or got broken for this thing hitting it, or these got wire in them, so it could short something, rub across it, whatever. I just didn't want it hitting it. Now there again, a plastic pre-printed part to fit over this to protect the motor wires will be an awesome idea. Haven't come up with that yet. Maybe CNC Labs will. But what I did come up with was a bracket that I put together along with a friend who helped me design it, and we put together a really quick welded version. And what it does is it holds this hose separate from the dust boot hose. And I showed you in the easy on and easy off video, all you need to do to remove your dust boot from the gantry itself is just pull that off and then pop your dust shoe down, and this comes right off. Putting it back on is just easy. All you got to do is click it in, stick it back on here, tighten it down, and that's all there is to it. Now, this part here is just a straight connector for a 4-inch dust hose, and it just connects the two hoses. It keeps the hoses from hitting the wires. I will show you here how this thing will go all over the place. And you can see it goes all the way to the end. Uh-oh. It just keeps the hose off of the wires, which is really cool. So bring it back up here. But that is something that I'm really proud of. I'm working with a company right now to make a bunch of these, and I'm hoping to have them ready within a month. So any of you out there that are looking for something to hold your dust collection hose in a firm position, be on the lookout. I'll be releasing that soon. So really excited about that. One last thing I want to talk about is when I got my long mills, I had to use computer. You know, desktop computer first, and then I used laptops. And, you know, you didn't need to have a kick-ass laptop, but it was kind of a pain in the butt to have to, okay, I want to change something on this project. Now I got to go back to my office where my desktop computer is and do the editing. You know, whether it was in Carveco or at the time I was using Easel or Vectric. I guess the biggest issue with that is dust. Computers, dust. They have fans on them, they suck the dust in, and they will kill a computer quicker than anything. And, you know, it's just a big pain in the butt. I know there's industrial, rugged type computers out there, tablets that we could use that are waterproof, dustproof, all that stuff. But, you know, they cost a good amount of money. They weren't cheap, and it wasn't really the solution I wanted. The solution I came up with was, I want to use a USB device just to walk out to my Altmill, plug this in, open gSender on whatever computer I have there, and run the file. If I need to edit something, I'll go to my desktop computer, which I am now going to put in the shop here. I'm going to build a cabinet with airflow and filtering, kind of like a server cabinet, to keep my computer clean and just have a wireless computer and mouse and a monitor that I can utilize that with. So that will solve that issue, but a lot of people thought this was a panel computer. It is not. What you're looking at right there is, whoops, that is a touchscreen monitor. That's all that is. It's a 15-inch touchscreen monitor. And, you know, I can touchscreen and work gSender just like if I had a mouse. And just I homed it I can use the go to X and Y. I can change any of the settings on here because it's all touchscreen, which I love. Now, what's powering it? What I did is I bought one of those mini computers that is fanless. It does not have a fan, just like the panel computers that Andy is working on at CNC Labs. They don't have a fan in them either, and they're really nice, but they probably won't be available for a while, and I needed something inexpensive that I could buy right now to run my Altmill the way I want to run it and not have computers and all that stuff, laptop or whatever, so, and wires. So what I did is I mounted it on the back side of this monitor, and that's all it is right there. It's a little black box. It has 4 USB ports, it has an HDMI port, it has a Type C port for power. All I did was bought short cables and I mounted it on the back. I have my Type C cable right here for the USB running to the SLB, and then this black wire is power. It just goes to a power strip that I have on this side of the Altmill to plug in the computer on a different circuit. So that is it. I still use a mouse, but I really like this. This is cool to me. It gives me the opportunity to do movement with the Altmill without having to use the mouse, and this is really accurate. Yes, it's not perfect, but I'll tell you what, it works great. It's an Xbox controller, cordless controller, and I really like it. So recommend getting that. I'll leave a link to that in the description below as well. So put a little pedestal here to mount the computer. All I did was, there's plenty of installation holes in a lot of the framing, so I utilized the end cap for the Y-axis. There was a couple of holes there, and I just screwed it down to that, and it's pretty solid. And these are adjustable. If you buy a tube, you can adjust these up or down for the tall or the short, and that is it. So that's about it for now. I am excited to get to this point now where I can take the time and start making projects and show you what this Altmill can do. Now, there's plenty of videos out there from CNC Labs showing you how fast it runs and all the different projects that they had carved on while they were getting ready to ship us our Altmills. The Altmill, with the speed that it possesses, is just going to be a big asset to this shop. I'll be able to produce parts and products that I can sell. I'm going to take the advice of a lot of people around me and start selling some of my stuff, and it's going to be available to all of you. So leave a comment in the comment section about the bracket that I'm designing if you're interested, and I'll let you know as soon as I can. We'll get it out as soon as we can. So I really love this Altmill. I'm just so excited to have it in the shop. It is a really big step up for me, and yeah, I'm excited about what the future has to hold for Bucky's Customs. So for that, stay tuned to the channel. Keep a lookout for future videos. I'll be putting a few of those out here. And, you know, bottom line, be safe out there, everyone. We'll see you next time.